Hello viewers, this is the first in a series of chats online with a guest and your questions. So I'm representing AAI, I'm the publications director, and my guest today is representing AUK, Atheist UK. He's Andy Phillips. Hello, Andy.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm fine, thanks, in this lockdown world that we suddenly find ourselves in.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Very bizarre. Yeah. So, have I introduced you right for a start? Is that how you are, why you are here, and how you are here?
Yeah. I'm a very recent board member of Atheism UK, and at the moment I'm going through the application process to become a director of AAI as well, along with you. Very interesting times.
Absolutely. That application comes to fruition at the end of this month when we have the AGM. Then the announcements will be made as to who's on the new directing board. So today's question is, what is atheism? We've all got our views. I have mine, you have yours, but it's like herding cats, isn't it? Getting atheists to agree, because we have no doctrine to follow. So you tell me, what do you think atheism is?
Yeah, I think this is the thing, and one of the things that we want to get over most of the time is people's perception of what an atheist is. Because, I mean, over the years, I've had everything from, God hater, devil worshipper, and which is completely insane, and you've got to sort of understand. I think people have got to understand that atheism is just a lack of a belief of something. It's like, when I was a child, I never had a belief in God. I went to church because that's what my family did, but it never sort of got to the point where I went, I believe that there is a deity of some description. And it's just a lack of belief, and that's all atheism is just without God. Atheist is just without God. And it doesn't really mean that you hate God. How could I hate God if I don't believe in God? It doesn't mean that I hate theists. I've got some very good friends who are theists. I don't hate them for their belief. I question their belief, and we have really good discussions about belief systems and how that affects lives and how it affects the planet and humanity and all those sort of things. All those great big questions that we love talking about. But there is a lot of misconception about what an atheist is. And I think that's one of the reasons why I like talking about this, because I want people who have those misconceptions to start pushing those to one side and just realize that we're just human beings. We just don't believe in God. It's not a big deal, and that's what it is. It is on the very base level. It is just an absence of belief in the existence of deities or gods, and that is, less broadly, it may be a rejection of that belief, but most of the time it's just, I lack a belief in a God. I don't believe a God exists, and quite simply because I don't believe in the supernatural, and because God is a supernatural being, or supposedly supernatural being, I find it very difficult to believe in something like that, because I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in leprechauns and things like that. I see myself as quite a rational person, and so consequently the belief in God is just a little bit alien to me. It doesn't really make any sense. I've never seen it. There's no proof for it. So yeah, that's really my position.
We're very similar in that case, because I like you, I wasn't really captured by a religion when I was a child. My family only really went to church for weddings and funerals, and as a little boy, I didn't get taken to the funerals. Then I went to school where, at the time, it was compulsory. You had to have a morning assembly when Christianity, Anglicanism, in fact, was forced on you. But we sang along to the hymns. It didn't matter to us. We weren't convinced by this. Until it was discovered that I could sing. I could hold a tune, So I was
in the choir straight away.
Yeah. I was scooped up by the parish church and put in the choir. And I had to wear a ruff and a surplice. And we sang "The Lord is my shepherd." It was enjoyable music because, of course, music doesn't belong to any religion. And we're both musicians in a sense, so, amateur or semi-professional. And so we understand that music can appeal to and be inspired by a number of different things, including war. So certainly doesn't belong to religion. Anyway, I didn't last long in the choir. I decided it wasn't for me. And then I also discovered science. At school, I was taught physics, biology, and chemistry. I loved it. And I became eventually a science teacher myself. And so here I am, not really able to stop teaching science as I see it. I'm not anti-religion. I'm not anti-God, but I am anti-religion because in my mind, it's a deception. Until there is evidence, we shouldn't believe in it any more than we should believe in the Loch Ness monster.
Yeah, I'm sort of the same with that, because the thing is, I don't care if someone is religious. I really don't care. As I say, I've got some really good friends who one of them is a lay preacher, and his attitude towards God and religion is very nice. It's a like a wonderful, warm thing. He feels warm feelings for people, and he loves people because he sees them as part of God's plan. And I've got no real problem with people like that. I have no problem with the peaceful minority, or sorry, the peaceful majority rather. It's the mental minority.
Yes.
That I just don't understand the attitude toward other people in religions. I mean, you have people of one religion hating people from another religion. I mean, we talk about Christians and Islam. It's the same God, and yet there's a lot of conflict there.
Yes, yes.
And if you look at religions around the world, you find so much conflict, even within religions, even within sects within religions.
Yes. Well, I think there's something like 30,000 different denominations of Christianity.
Yeah, and that's just Christianity, and even within that, there's division within those denominations.
Yeah. Well, you speaking about your religious friends, I had, unfortunately, it's past tense now, but I had a very nice friend, an evangelical pastor, and we used to meet for coffee and chat, and we have children of similar age, so there was a lot to talk about. We have a lot in common. But and we used to debate the reasons that we held our positions regarding this proposition, there is a God. In fact, we did it publicly. I have recordings of he and I debating in his church the existence or the reasons for our belief systems. Belief system, I put it in quotes, because atheism is not a belief system, but they imagine that it is. Anyway, unfortunately, he kept trying to persuade me that his position was the correct one, and I wasn't having any, and he wasn't having my position. So we've drifted apart. But I have no animosity towards him. I still send him a birthday card.
It is a little strange. I think it's because you're questioning something which is so deep rooted. And you see, my attitude, I've never really been an aggressive atheist at all. I've had some conversations that have made people think quite deeply. They've had to, because I've questioned belief, not questioned whether God exists or not. I've questioned the belief in the existence of a God, and it's a little bit different, because we go down to the. I mean, I've had conversations like you, both publicly and one-to-one, where you talk about things which are deep philosophy. It's almost like what I found with most of the conversations I've had with apologists, people who make it a process to defend this concept of God. They've really thought about it, and they've written a thesis on exactly how to defend. And you have to really dig very deeply into the concepts of philosophy
Yes.
to try and talk God into existence rather than
Yes.
something which is intuitive to you. You know, and again, I think a lot of theists sort of say that it is an intuitive thing. You know, God exists intuitively. You know, just look at the trees, just look at the sky, look at the world around us. How could it ever come on? But these are all fallacies. And you when you try and start pointing out the fallacies that are in their argument, if they want to go down the philosophy route, then you know we can go down the philosophy route and sort of start peeling away some of those fallacies. You know, this how could it be any different sort of attitude. Well, there are many things that could bring about exactly the same things, like the concept of ghosts, for instance. You know, I've seen a ghost, even though I don't believe in them. I've seen a ghost, and I know that what happens in this little noggin of mine is sort of unknown. You know, we know a lot about the science of the brain and the way the brain works, and how when you're in a dark place and it's a little bit frightening, what the receptors of your eyes, because you don't actually see things, it's just like, you know, light receptors firing up in the brain, and the brain looking at what it is, can tell you something which probably isn't there. And I know that's what happened with me. I saw a ghostly shape in a room. However, I know that ghosts don't exist, so I know it's my brain. So I can rationalize that with that sort of side of it. But I think it's the same with religion. You know, you're brought up in that way, because it's very strange how everybody is, you know, who's Christian is normally brought up in a Christian society with a Christian family, and everybody who's Muslim is normally brought up in a Muslim country or Muslim family. Very lucky to be in the right religion at the right time.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things. You know, the philosophy route is a very interesting one, trying to talk God into religion and just bringing it down by the fallacies that are put in place. You know, it's just ridiculous sometimes. But
you get lots of stuff that I want to interact with. You've talked about aggressive atheists, and I have a theory that the most aggressive or militant atheists are the ones who escaped. They're the ones who were religious and realized that they were deceived, and they're cross. You know, they've wasted some of their life in this deception, and that's what makes them aggressive. I'm not aggressive. You're not aggressive, because we were never in a religion.
Yeah, I mean, I've had spoken to a lot of atheists who have had genuine, real problems with becoming atheist, you know, and not just the problem of, you know, I'm an atheist and my family hates me. Not just that, although there is a lot of that, and that could be, you know, they can be ostracized, or even worse, they can, I mean, it can lead to death. I mean, let's not put too fine a point in it, you know, doesn't always, but even in families that are very strongly religious, and maybe a child come through and they realize that they are not religious, they don't believe in God, they're atheist, they can have a really tough time of it. So there's that, putting that to one side, that's a very real thing. But I've had conversations with people who are atheist who have had genuine internal struggle. I mean, really deep internal struggle. Yeah. Because they don't believe, but they can't understand why they don't believe, because there must be something, but there can't be anything. And it's this huge mental turmoil. And I think people who, I mean, we know people who have gone through that sort of thing. We also know people who have been, felt, as you say, been deceived over maybe 20, 30 years of their life with this. And then suddenly come into this brightness, and they just realize that all of that is ridiculous. How can it ever be that way? Come into that realization, and it can really hurt people really badly. And I don't think people understand that if you've been a religious person and been told by your whole family, the family that you love, and all the people around you, the whole society around you, you just suddenly realize that they're not lying to you, because they believe it. They're not lying to you, but they've all been deluded, and you've come out into this bright, open, new plateau of thought, and suddenly you realize that you've been deluded, or you've been lied to all those years. And I think that is That's something which you and I haven't gone through, and I don't understand how people's minds can rationalize that and move on. And we know people like that.
I have sympathy for those people who've had to extricate themselves from this social web.
Yeah.
But, Andy, we're coming to the end of our time. So I'm going to finish by showing you a clip that involved me debating a Muslim at Manchester University. And then I shall play the outro music. Thank you, Andy. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
I don't call myself an atheist. And let me ask you a question. Hands up if you don't believe in fairies. Hands up. Come on, be honest. It's not scary. You can put your hand up if you don't believe in fairies. Okay? Most of us don't believe in fairies. Should we have a special word for you? Are you a fairyists then? We don't need this word, do we? It doesn't make sense to group people together on the basis of something they lack.